welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. We bring you the right information to empower you, the SME entrepreneur. Tonight on the show, we're continuing to bring you a special episode, which is the highlights and the key takeaways of the Leaders of Tomorrow Conclave Awards 2018. Take a look.
I'd now like to call up on stage the founder and chairman of CapitalFirst, Mr. V Vaidyanathan, to give the theme address.
Big note of thanks to every single entrepreneur who's sitting here who may have had some relationship with CapitalFirst. Thank you very much. I must just quickly say that just in the last 8 years, CapitalFirst has financed close to about 7 million customers, all small entrepreneurs or consumers of loans as small as maybe 20,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees going up to 1 or 2 crores. And it just shows to us and to all of you what is the sort of opportunity that is available in this space when we combine data, technologies, and all of that with an intent to finance this sort of a customer base. Now, I must point out to you, for the benefit of all of you, that we've been in this space for the last maybe 8 years, but the biggest shot in the arm we have seen is in the last 5 years, when we have seen the rollout of the GST and we have seen the rollout of the financial ecosystem of the country. Now, we all know very well that the GST is a very complex piece of reform to pull through. It's really difficult because it subsumes the 16 taxes. Different entrepreneurs in the ecosystem had different levels of ability to deal with the changes in the IT system. There were just so many lobbies who were wanting to delay this for maybe for a year or so, saying that we are not yet prepared, and so many industries commented upon it. But in the context of all that, to pull through in a flash with the sort of determination the government did in pulling through the GST is really a sort of an entrepreneurial effort from the government to pull it through with a lot of heart and effort. Along the way, the digitization efforts of the government, many years ago, there was NEFT, then came RTGS, then came IMPS, then came UPI, and now a lot of players are sinking in to the UPI ecosystem. Therefore, now payment has become ubiquitous and so on. We all know the numbers, how IMPS numbers are just staggeringly going up, and how Beam and Paytms and Googles and the Facebooks are all latching onto the ecosystem and how it is getting democratized and financialized. So we know those numbers, we saw the ecosystem developing, and therefore for all financiers, and not just one financier or one sector, this is going to become a very big factor. The development of the financial ecosystem is a very big factor in being able to finance so-called entrepreneurs who were earlier not possible to be financed, or probably there were certain other challenges with regard to the cash economy. The third factor that the government has already done is that there is a differentiated tax structure for the small corporate to the large corporate. Now, this is a very big thing. I'm not even sure how much of you have probably absorbed that, but I have tried to Google and surf a lot. I have not found many countries where the small corporates have a lesser tax rate than the large corporate. Today, it's 25% for turnover up to 250 crores. It was 50 crores earlier. And now, hopefully, over a period of time, it can get adjusted upwards and so on. Corporate is not an individual. It is a pass-through entity. And therefore, whatever tax rate you give there, it passes on to the end consumer, and therefore, there is no need for a tiered structure. Then when you think through this and put some insights onto this, you realize that in a free market economy, the consumer pays what he pays, because that's the market. Because if not, a consumer is not giving any special benefits because it's manufactured by a small entrepreneur. He pays the same, whether made by the... Therefore, then what happens is that then it's not a pass-through, it affects the quality of employees they hire, or the goods they purchase. Therefore, you take one small company operating in a particular space, let me say a small NBFC, and let me say a large NBFC. A small NBFC will, in all probability, be lower rated, will probably be higher having cost of funds, say maybe 14 or 15%, while a large corporate would have, maybe 8 or 9%. And then you'll also find the quality of employees being hired will be relatively lesser. And then if cost of funds, which is raw material, is more expensive, and people are also of the relatively lesser quality, then you end up, you don't have economies of scale. Now, this issue plays out in sector after sector after sector, and therefore, the small guy can never fight the big guy, can never enter the big space, because he always finds to be, because the bigger guy has bigger advantages. Now, therefore, if we had a structure which said that, say, up to 5 lakhs, I'm meaning in the less than 250 crore category only. I don't mean any tax breaks for the big guys. That will be what it will be, as and when the tax structures in the country reform. So say less than 5 lakh rupees if we had, say, 5% tax rate, and then say 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs if we had 10% tax rate, and 10 lakhs to 30 lakhs supposing we had 20% tax rate, and 30 lakhs and above supposing we had a peak tax rate, whatever they will be. Then the small, millions and millions of small corporates can, when I mean corporates, I mean partnerships, proprietorships, all of them put together. I don't mean only corporates. Millions of them will suddenly begin to feel that they have some sort of a level playing field or some advantage over the big guy because they're already hobbled by many other disadvantages like we talked about earlier. And this can make a significant difference in the life of the small entrepreneur. We must just point out that with the evolution of so much of data, so much of artificial intelligence, with the kind of focus that has come from the Reserve Bank of India, for example, Reserve Bank of India set up small finance banks with the exclusive, dedicated attention to give the small entrepreneurs. The government has invested or has lent more than 6 lakh crores through Mudra program for the small entrepreneur. Now, these are not small things. And development of the financial ecosystem we talked about, development of the digitization ecosystem we talked about. All of these are really powerful things that are happening at a ground level in the country, and they will all begin to show effort over time. This sort of a behavior change in the small entrepreneurs has already begun to happen, plus can be encouraged by a tiered structure, I think can make a big change. And organizations like ET Now, who have put together this program called Leaders of Tomorrow, is really very encouraging. Every evening when we see the ticker tape in the program out there saying that the Leaders of Tomorrow program, and we just get the energy from the small entrepreneurs by saying, oh, this is what the small entrepreneur is becoming big. It gives us energy. It gives us motivation to finance these people, and we believe it's not just a great business, it is actually creating a social impact in the country. Just as an NGO creates social impact, financing of the small entrepreneurs creates a multiplier impact in the country. We enjoy doing it. We enjoy partnering all of you at ET Now. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
These companies are outstanding leaders of industry, and we are felicitating them as Broadcast One disruptors. These companies we have featured on the Times Network for their contribution to their economy. They've proven to be true path-breaking disruptors who've changed multiple industries across the board.
All right, now first up is Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. And I'd like to call on stage the Chief Financial Officer of the company, Milind Chaudhary, to receive the felicitation.
Can I call up for this next one on stage President of Henkel Adhesives Technologies India, Shilip Kumar. A round of applause as Shilip joins us on stage for this next felicitation. Our next felicitation that we're doing tonight, please call up on stage Vice President, National Manager, Key Partnerships of We Health by Aetna, Girban Paul.
Himachal Futuristic Communications is a leading telecom infrastructure developer. May I call on stage the president of the company, Jitendra Chaudhary, and with him the vice president, corporate and company secretary, Mr. Manoj Baid.
Can I please call up on stage the CEO of IFL Securities, Arindam Chandra. We request you to please come up on stage for this felicitation.
Well, next up, CSS Corp. I'd like to call up on stage the VP Marketing and Inside Sales, Vivian Gomes.
Can I call up on stage the Vice President, India, APAC and Japan, Marketing and Communication of NTT Data Services. With him is Senior Vice President, Global Delivery of NTT Data Services, Ravi Kumar.
I'd like to call up on stage the head of marketing for Randstad India, V Vaidyanathan, and her colleagues.
I want to mention Legrand. Can I please call up on stage member of the board and director strategy marketing, Samir Saxena.
Global Logic is a leading disruptor in the digital product engineering space. I'd like to call on stage the CTO of the company, Puneet Gupta, to receive the felicitation.
Time for a break. On the other side, we'll continue bringing you the key takeaways from the Leaders of Tomorrow Conclave Awards 2018. Some of the biggest thought leaders across the country and across industries joined us to celebrate small businesses. Do stay tuned. We're back in just a bit. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on the show we're bringing you some of the highlights of the Leaders of Tomorrow Conclave Awards 2018, a unique and one-of-its-kind platform where we celebrate small businesses. Take a listen to what some of the biggest names who joined us from India Inc. that day had to say.
For our next speaker, innovation is no apparition. He's used it almost all throughout his career, spanning almost 5 decades. He's reinvented and expanded the businesses under his group multiple times. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the founder and chairman of Marico India, Mr. Harsh Mariwala.
The entrepreneurs add a lot of value. They add a value to each and every stakeholder. They add value to the promoters or the owners, their own employees, customers, as well as the society. But I think the biggest problem the entrepreneurs face, I've seen, is that they're not able to scale up. When you are small, you're doing things on your own, and you're actively involved. But at some stage, when you start expanding, you have to let go. You have to start recruiting a team, and then you can't say, I want to do everything. And many entrepreneurs are so much in love with their own business that they just cannot delegate things. They're not able to attract good talent. So if you're a small-scale industry, I would say you have to do things. Once you reach a certain scale, medium scale, you have to get things done from others. And when you're really large, you have to influence others. So I think this is very, very crucial if you really have to grow. Your role has to change. You have to make yourself redundant at some stage in terms of what you're doing, reinvent yourself, recruit good quality talent, and then go on expanding. I think if I look back at my own journey, I think those years when I have reinvented myself has been the biggest source of growth, and also at a personal level, a great satisfaction, because when you reinvent yourself, you're learning new things, you're doing new things, and it's a great experience. But I think that has to be supported by some necessary building blocks. So I just want to talk to you about 3 things which are relevant in an entrepreneur's journey. I think the first thing I want to say is, how do you create a right to win? You don't want to just be a me-too player. In a highly competitive environment, you have to be differentiated, and that's where innovation comes in. In any business, you have to continuously innovate. You just can't say, I've innovated and stop at that. So multiple examples of innovation, whether Parachute Coconut Oil or a brand like Revive, which was an innovative approach to starching. We have innovated. It has played a very important role in Marico's journey. I think the other thing I want to talk about is pioneering. I think there are opportunities for pioneering newer initiatives. And whenever we pioneered something new, we've seen again the right to win. An example like the Kaya Skin Clinics, which is the first chain of skin clinics in India. We have pioneered Safola, which is a brand which is good for the heart. And of recent past, we've pioneered masala oats. Because we started with oats, and we realized that oats itself, we were not able to get inroads into the amongst the strong players like Kellogg's and other local players. And we said that can we do what Maggi did to the noodles and put in a range of masala oats, again depending on regional preferences. And today, That category has grown. We have almost 70% market share in that category. So my advice to all of you is that in your own field, you determine what will create that right to win. Is it a pioneering thing? Is it innovation? It could be some technology which you have developed or a patent you have, or if you're in a service business, it could be customer service. So I think the key thing is to determine what will make me win compared to my competition and go on working at it on a continuous basis, because others will catch up with you, so you have to be 2 steps ahead of others. How do you create a right to win alone? You need to have very good talent. So my next mantra is, I think you need to have a very strong employee value proposition. There is a war for talent, and to attract good talent, you have to stand out for something which is unique. It could be a culture, it could be a challenge you are providing to your employees. The key thing is to say what is unique about me and leverage that in the job market, because you have to attract good quality talent, and only you can do that if you have a strong employee value proposition. But after employing, I think the bigger challenge is how do you create a culture which is relevant for your business success. People say that these are values and they're pasted in reception, but I think any value has to deliver results. So what are the values which will enable you to succeed in the marketplace is very, very important. For us, when we finalized the values, we said that innovation is very important. So what will drive innovation? And we said that innovation will happen if people start taking risks, if people start experimenting, and if there is diversity in terms of our workforce or talent force. So I think the key thing is to create that culture which will enable you to succeed in the marketplace by identifying the right values which will help you succeed, and leveraging those values in terms of creating the right reinforcements which will create a strong culture. So our culture is, I would say, a very open culture, very participative, trusting, innovating, and empowering also, because when people are empowered, they feel far better in terms of taking bigger risks. So we encourage people to empower, but empowering cannot happen if you don't have good quality talent. The third thing I want to talk about is governance. I think irrespective of the size, from day one, when I started business, the tax rates, income tax rates were in the range of 70%. And the directive was very, very clear to everybody in the organization that we will not do anything which is not legal. If we have to pay the 70% tax, it's okay to pay the tax. Because the moment a promoter starts taking shortcuts, I think that culture will go down in the organization. And that culture starts from day one, from the time you start working. So you can't say that I'm small scale, so I will take some shortcuts, take some risk in the area of compliances, and then succeed. I think that doesn't work. I think the culture, the compliance culture is very, very important from day one. And to me, governance goes beyond just compliances. I think it is how an organization looks at all the stakeholders. And there are times when there are conflicts between the organization and a stakeholder. For example, there is a conflict between the promoter and the stakeholder. There could be a conflict between some key employees and the stakeholder. A very good employee who is very effective, who has contributed a lot, is not able to cope up with the challenges of future when the business expands. So what do? I mean, do you ask him to continue because he's played a very important role in your journey? Or do you ask him to? And many organizations are floundering in terms of what do they do with good performers who have started becoming less and less relevant. And I'm very clear that whenever there is a conflict between the organization and any stakeholder, the organization's interest comes first. I think let me end by talking about an initiative I have started. It's an initiative I started about 6 years back. It's my way of giving something back to the society, basically helping small and medium entrepreneurs scale up. You join that, what we call Ascent, and then you learn a lot from peer to peer. So there are trust groups, what you call, they're formed, and they learn from each other. It's going on for last, as I said, 6 years. We have 350 entrepreneurs associated with us. Very, very happy. I see a huge impact in terms of their learning. So they meet every month in a trust group, in the same group, and they learn from each other. In addition to that, we have many events. We have what we call mixers. We have boot camps. We've had events teaching entrepreneurs how to make a pitch to a fund, what kind of options are there available for raising money. We also have connected our entrepreneurs to key stakeholders like finance providers or HR consultants or things like that. And we also have a very big event which we call Ascent Conclave. So with that, I wish you all the best. I'm very proud of what each of you are doing, and more importantly, I want you to do much better, because I think you will be adding value to all the stakeholders, including the society, and to the nation's growth.
That's our show tonight. If you have any feedback for us, here's how you get in touch. leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com is our email ID. You can also reach us on our social media pages. Sunanda_J is my personal Twitter handle. LOT_ET Now is our official Twitter handle. Our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow in ET Now, is where you can also leave your feedback and suggestions for us. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.